and we will share out a copy of the recording a little bit later on today, as well as to upload it onto our Facebook and YouTube pages. So in the chat box, please let us know who you are, which nonprofit you're with. Are you doing anything for 16 days of activism? Do you have some campaigns up and running? And have you ever heard of technology facilitated GBV? While you do that, I just want to give a quick intro, because many of you know us as TechSoup in Southern Africa, or you know us as Phambano Tech, but you might not know eSafety Southern Africa. We are an online and in-person capacity building program. Myself and Di started it many years ago, and we started with one basic goal, and that was to create a 16 days of activism digital campaign to highlight things like the negative effects of cyberbullying, how women and young girls are being groomed and stalked online, which social media platforms have got safety centers, reporting tools, and so on. And it has now grown whereby we are going into our 4th year, and we have rebranded it to call it eSafety Southern Africa. Not only do we talk about technology facilitated gender-based violence, but we also partner with our tech donors, for example, Facebook, and some of the TechSoup in Southern Africa donors, to provide resources from an online safety perspective. Before COVID, we hosted in-person tech clinics. We are hoping to get back to that point in the future, but for this year, we've gone virtual. This is one of our tech clinics today, and we're really excited to see you all join, and we do hope you'll walk away from this tech clinic today with some virtual tools and resources to equip you with being safer online. We service all nonprofit organizations in Southern Africa, and we do it in a two-pronged approach. The first is that we can be guest speakers at your events. So if you are needing either myself or Di to come into your nonprofit and to equip your volunteers, your board, or your staff member with the digital campaign tools that you need to advocate and to set up 16 days of activism campaigns, we can do that. We can also come in and talk about certain topics. So for example, 10 tips to stop cyberbullying with the youth. We've partnered with organizations like Google to roll out the Be Internet Awesome program. We do go into schools, we speak to educators, to parents, and we're very excited to announce that starting in a couple of weeks and leading up into the first quarter of next year, we've partnered with Facebook again to promote some of their eSafety tools and to help you touch base with the safety team in Southern Africa, because many of us spend a lot of time on Facebook, particularly not just from our personal perspective, but from our nonprofit marketing perspective. We don't just focus on 16 days of activism. We include a 365 days a year campaign. You will find that on all of our social media and on our landing page on our Phambano website. And our goal is to equip women-led and serving nonprofits with the tech tools to advocate against gender-based violence. Most importantly, from our perspective as well, that includes technology facilitated GBV. So quickly, before I hand over to our guest speaker for today, I just wanted to give you a quick explainer as to what technology facilitated GBV is. And that is the action by one or more people that harms others based on their sexual or gender identity, or by enforcing harmful gender norms. Typically, these actions will take place using the internet or tools that are reliant on the internet and or mobile technology. So think of stalking, cyberbullying, or other types of bullying, sexual harassment online, defamation, hate speech, exploitation. When you start looking at all those little elements, it becomes a lot clearer where it's housed under the banner of technology facilitated GBV. So as much as what we support your nonprofit, if you are, maybe building digital campaigns for 16 days to help your community better understand face-to-face stalking or in-person stalking, we can also be there to help you explain online stalking, online grooming, how some of the technology partners have got systems in place to help you, AI, the importance of that, and most importantly, if anybody in your community, being a beneficiary or a volunteer or a staff member, is experiencing something like this through maybe abusive WhatsApp chats, or they keep getting unsolicited Instagram DMs, please do reach out to myself and I'll share at the later stage in today's session how you can connect with us. Let's help get you in front of the actual safety teams on all of those platforms, and let's help escalate your problem, because that's what we're here to do. So with that, I'm going to swap my screens very quickly, and I'm going to start sharing another presentation. And I'd like to introduce Leslie. So Leslie, if you don't mind coming up on camera and unmuting yourself. Leslie was a creative and marketing director in the magazine publishing world for 15 years before she founded Think Social Media in 2012. Think has helped over 1,500 clients in various ways on social media, and they are very passionate about sharing resources to help businesses understand the importance of social media for their brand. Leslie recently hosted a presentation, which she's going to share this morning with us, about safeguarding your Facebook platform. She saw the presentation and said, we have to share this with the nonprofit landscape. We have to share this with our beneficiaries. And that's exactly what Leslie's about to do now. So Leslie, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Just a quick note to everybody, Leslie's voice is a bit croaky. If you hear her start losing her voice, we might just switch up the program slightly. She is struggling a little bit with it this morning, but she's still here. She's dedicated her time to us. So if you do struggle to hear anything, or if you'd like for her to repeat anything, just let us know in the comment box. And Leslie has also said that we can share her presentation after this session. So you will get a copy of it as well. So let me just bring that up quickly. And let me move my toolbar and start presenting. Leslie, while I'm doing this, would you mind just giving us a quick intro as to how you came up with this particular presentation and the importance of it?
Hello, everybody. It's really great to be here. I just want to say a massive thank you to Di and Sam who invited me. This presentation actually stems from somebody within my networking who his sister actually got hacked. Her business page on Facebook got hacked, and I helped her out with it. And I just found that so many people, that it's not something that Think Social Media does for clients. But what I have found is a lot of people ask about this. And, because we are passionate about helping people on social media, I just thought it would be really great to get a little presentation together so that people could actually have the know-how of how to stop their pages from being attacked by hackers on social media. Obviously, this comes directly down to the personal profiles of the people, and obviously your business profiles as well. But I just thought it would be great to share this. Please share this with other people. I'm more than happy to do that. Just so that we can get people educated on this and to a stage where they don't necessarily have to worry about their pages being hacked. Samantha, are you ready for me to start the presentation?
Yes, absolutely. Can everybody just let me know if you can see it full screen? I had a bit of trouble getting my setting there.
Looks full screen to me.
Okay, cool. Ready when you are.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, everybody, and welcome to How to Not Get Hacked on Social Media. So Facebook security really matters, but why? So there's three main things that I've looked at over the 8 odd years that I've been working with clients on Facebook. And why it really matters is from a money point of view. If you think about doing adverts and campaigns on your business pages, generally what happens is that you need to put on a credit card within your own name or the company's name. Now, if your personal Facebook gets hacked, hackers have the ability to use that credit card. So there could be money that is just clocked up on your credit card before you even know it. A lot of people that get hacked don't actually check their Facebook very often, and before you know it, two to 3 days later, you've got a massive bill sitting on your Facebook because they've used your card for something else. Then obviously your reputation is something that's really important on Facebook. A lot of businesses have spent many, many years getting their reputation to a certain standard. And if your Facebook is hacked by something that is unsatisfactory, you might really damage that reputation and lose a lot of likes because of that. And then it also boils down to time. You think of all the years that you have worked on your social media, worked on creating audiences, worked on creating likes. A lot of people don't actually buy likes. They use likes as just word of mouth. And if your Facebook page is hacked and you can't get that page back for whatever reason, you actually lose all of that. So those are really big things that you need to look out for. Can I have the next slide, please, Sam? So how to secure your personal Facebook account. This is really important because, as we know, personal Facebooks actually manage business pages. You can't manage a business page without a personal Facebook managing it. So I've come up with a few things. These are just guidelines. If you are using some of them, that's great. If you aren't and you want to look at using them, please feel free. I need to stress that I'm not an IT person. When it came to question 2 of the passwords generator, I actually spoke to my IT guy and asked him what he thought of it, because I'm obviously that's not my expertise. But one of the biggest things that you can do is make sure that you have a really strong password. This is one of the tricks that I use. Please do not think is my password. I'm just using that as an example. But what I do, because I find a lot of clients forget what their passwords are, they forget to write it down. Maybe they've forgotten it and they've changed it. So what I like to recommend to people is use a password and always use whatever it is afterwards in capitals with an exclamation mark or whatever you would choose to. So you always know when you log into Facebook, you use that password with Facebook in caps and an exclamation afterwards. Same for Instagram, same for Gmail, things like that. That is something that you can look into. You could also use things like password generators. There are lots of free ones online at the moment. My IT guy, I'm sure there are other people that can mention other password generators, but my IT guy gave me these 2, Dashlane and LastPass. The great thing is that both of them, even though they're sitting at $3-4 a month, it is, and for unlimited and obviously all devices, it really is something that $3 or $4 a month can really save you a lot, because once your password is generated through a password generator, you really don't have to worry about ever remembering it. It's on your laptop, it's on your phone, and it just automatically gets generated. Next slide, please, Sam. If you have an iPhone, the new iPhones have something called Keychain, iCloud Keychain on the iPhone. Again, not my expertise. My IT guy told me about this, but he did tell me that it's one of the best inscriptions out there. If you can use it, just Google it. It's really easy to use. I've actually started using it on my phone as well. It's obviously protected by Apple, and we all know through lawsuits and things like that that have happened in the past, Apple cannot get into your iPhone or actually unlock it. So that's really great, because it really does help with regards to hackers. And then one thing that is very, very simple that you can do on your personal Facebook is you can activate 2-factor authentication. So this is on your personal Facebook. There are 3 options that Facebook gives you. I only suggest using 2 of those 3. So you can log in using codes from a third-party application, which is like what I was just talking about, either your iCloud or one of the other password generators. Or every time you log in, you can get a text message sent to your mobile phone. There is another option to get a text message within Facebook, but the reason why I've said stay away from that is because if your Facebook is hacked and you get locked out of your account, you cannot get that code generated. So I always say I use the text message code that gets sent to my iPhone. If anybody tries to log on to including myself, tries to log on to my Facebook profile, it will then send me that mobile code through my mobile, and I will not be allowed to log on unless that code is in there correctly. It works very similar to when you are trying to pay for something via your bank and you can't pay for it unless you put in the little code. Great, next slide, please. So best practices to protect your Facebook account. Again, you guys will get this afterwards, but this is really important to remember. Don't use the keep me logged in. A lot of people like to use it, but think about it. In today's world, a lot of people are working from home. And when you start working from home, you don't have the luxury of being connected to firewalls like you used to in the office. So it's really easy for hackers to come through just on our home computers when we're working at home, because a lot of offices don't have the protection of homes don't have the protection of the firewalls that used to be in the offices. So using the keep me logged in is obviously really not a good practice to use. Rather just remember your code or use one of the other things that I've suggested to log yourself in all the time. Then always make sure that you log out of devices. It seems like a really simple thing when you say, oh, of course I do. But it's so many people, you go to the gym, you go to an internet cafe or something like that, and you've logged into somebody else's laptop. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the gym and I've walked past somebody and they've got up and left their Facebook open. So it really is important to make sure you log out of all of those devices, whether it be on your cell phone or your laptop or your tablet. Next slide, please, Sam. Clean up your browser. This is something that's also really important. I do mine once every 2 weeks or so. Most phishing activities come through porn sites and torrent sites. Obviously, I'm not judging anybody, but this is where most of them come from. And by cleaning up your browser, which might seem like a lot of effort, it really is going to remove anything. There are also a couple of adware removal tools. I would suggest you talk to the person who is dealing with your IT and ask if they can't recommend some for you. Then also protecting yourself with spyware and malware is really important. If it's something that your company can look at to offer everybody that's working from home, I think that's an excellent way to do things as well. Again, it doesn't cost that much in the greater scheme of things. And when you look at the prevention that it's going to give you with regards to somebody potentially getting hold of your credit card, somebody ruining your reputation online, and the time that you've spent to build your social media platforms, it really is worth looking into spyware and malware. Again, just chat to your IT person. They'll be able to give you the best suited for your company. Next slide, please, Sam. So how to secure your business Facebook. Again, this is going to be sent around so you guys can actually just turn this on. You can do it step by step. That's why I've done a step-by-step menu. The new Facebook Business Suite works very differently to how we know Facebook as it used to work. And it's when doing this, I really do recommend that everybody again turns on two-way authentication for your ads manager. This means that when you log into your ads manager in order to manage your social media pages, you can now do Facebook and Instagram through there. You will again be sent a code, and that will be need to be put in before you can access any of those. Again, once somebody gets into your business Facebook account, they can go to your ads manager and they can start spending money. So this is just a quick step-by-step of how to turn this on. If you can go to the next slide, please, Sam. I just want to say thank you very much, everybody, for having me. I hope my voice wasn't that bad, and I look forward to the Q&A session later.
Brilliant. Thank you, Leslie. That was quick, to the point. It's exactly what us as nonprofits love. And as mentioned, we will be sharing out the PDF of the presentation with everybody so that you can have a look at it. For now, if you can post your questions into the chat box, if you have any specifically about Facebook and safeguarding, I just wanted to use this opportunity to highlight a couple of things that we hear often in the nonprofit landscape. One of them is this fear surrounding, using your credit card or your debit debit card on Facebook to do boosting or to run ads. Leslie, could you maybe chat to me? Do you hear the same kind of fear from the business landscape or the SME landscape? And if so, what do you think you could say to somebody about safeguarding that element or getting rid of that fear?
So firstly, Sam, I completely agree with you. A lot of people are nervous about it, especially people who are coming onto social media for the first time. I can tell you that in the almost 9 years that I've been working on social media, my personal account has never been hacked because I make sure that there are things in place, which means that my business card, which is sitting when I do advertising for clients, also doesn't get hacked. And I've never, ever had a client that's business has been hacked either. So as long as you follow the rules and regulations with regards to making sure that your personal account and your business account are secure, you will not have any problems with your credit card online. And I think in 9 years, if I haven't had a problem, and I've probably had close to 1,500 clients, so I think that's a fairly good reason to not be worried.
Absolutely. And I second that. I mean, we've also got quite extensive experience with that, and also just hearing from other nonprofits. It is so very rare. And if it does happen, much like your cloud technology, so a lot of NGOs saying, you know, the Google Cloud and the Microsoft Cloud, how safe is it? It's only as safe as the user using it. It's very similar to driving your car. Your car is safe, but only if you drive it correctly and you drive it safely and you follow the rules. So I appreciate that feedback. And I hope that helps anybody in this call, in the chat. You know, if you are a bit skeptical, if you're a bit worried about it, before you just go out there and put your card in after this session, rather go through the PDF again, make sure you've got all your checks and balances in place. Like Leslie said, have a look at your antivirus package or your spyware package. Have a look at which device you're using to log into Facebook. Another big thing that we pick up with nonprofits is have a backup admin account on your business page, if possible, if you can. Sometimes what happens is, you know, nonprofits will give their Facebook page over to a volunteer or to an intern, or maybe to a board member, and then when that board member leaves or the volunteer goes home, then they don't have access. And so then what they do is they create another Facebook account. In that case, is there anything you can add to that, Leslie, in terms of future planning about an overall strategy with that? And I see you've got your hand raised, so please keep yourself unmuted and just jump in anytime.
Perfect. I actually wanted to agree with that. I think social media has what I call it my bot account. I just created a bot person, as I like to call them. And that person is linked to all of Think Social Media's pages and our clients' pages. If for whatever reason, it's also that bot person is on our business suite. And if for whatever reason my account is hacked, my business account is hacked, I can then get entry through that person, through that bot account. So I think it's a really important way that everybody just, you know, it's a safety net in case anything happens. And the other thing that I would like to say is that I get a lot of clients who give interns and who give PAs and things like that, their social media to work, and they make them admins of the account. So I'm a big believer in not doing that. I don't know, Sam, I see you nodding, so I think you're going to agree with me, but somebody who is creating content and just putting content on the pages does not need to be an admin of the account. The admin of the account can add users, take users away, to give you a simple exclamation. They can also do things like delete the page and change the page name. Now, in my opinion, there is no reason why somebody who is just creating content needs access to those tools. And I cannot tell you how many people I have come across who have given full admin access to their pages to certain people, and they've either left under not so great circumstances and just decided, oh, I'm going to delete the page because they're admin. So in my opinion, only the people who are either the business owner or very high up in your NGO should be admins. Everybody else can be editors.
Fully agree with that, and thank you for saying it. And I've just noticed, everybody, there's a bit of glare from my glasses. Many of you have not seen me wear glasses before, but I have to wear the blue tint ones now because I'm on my computer like 100 hours a day. So I'm still here. It's just a bit of getting used to, so apologies for that. But I totally agree with you. And, you know, it happens so much more than you'd imagine with NGOs. So many disgruntled board members, volunteers. There was a while back, there was a big prominent case about a disgruntled social worker who had been given access. And, you know, I feel for the NGO landscape because we are very limited with our resources. We are very limited with capacity. Sometimes we might want to turn to the younger generation that are interning with us to do this cool thing called social media. And I have just one last question for you, putting you on the spot, Leslie. And that is, looking at 2022, you know, when the NGOs have put all their checks and balances in place to safeguard their Facebook, if they are wanting to use their Facebook to try and increase funds, brand recognition or anything like that, could you give them one quick tip in terms of what they should think about with their strategy for 2022? For me, it would be, what should they focus on? Is video content better than images? Should they tell stories? What would you say is your top tip for NGOs in the new year?
So it really does depend on the NGO, and they would have to do a little bit of testing. But my biggest tip is rather look at quality over quantity. So really put out really good posts opposed to trying to put out a post every single day. So if you're going to do a video, make sure that the video actually looks great and put it out, because the better your video looks, the more interaction and the more engagement you're going to get and the more people it's going to reach. If you're going to put out a story, as Sam said, think about the story first. Rather put something out that's really good than put something out that people are just going to look at and go, oh, this actually looks like it hasn't had a lot of thought into it. So my tip is definitely quality over quantity. Rather think about it and make it great than just do something average.
Brilliant. And with that, we have come to the end of that part of the presentation. I wanted to use that as the last question to also let you maybe chat in the chat box and let everybody know if they are wanting to get in touch with you, how can they? Do you provide support to NGOs in terms of maybe setting up a social media strategy? Do you help with content creation? I'd very much appreciate if you could let everybody know in the chat while I just get the rest up. While I do that, Di, have there been any questions from your side maybe to highlight?
Nothing come through, Sam.
Brilliant. Okay, so Leslie, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Please stay with us as long as you can, and I hope you feel better soon. But just so that everybody knows, we will have Leslie back in the new year. There's so much synergy. There's so much to talk about in terms of social media strategy, content marketing. I mean, all the hot topics for us. And we also wanted to tie it into Facebook safety, do some 16 days of activism discussions, but also there are some nonprofit tools from Facebook. We are still advocating on behalf of the NGOs in Southern Africa to get the Facebook donation tools. We are continuing with that, but Facebook have got some other products that you can get from them as a donation. And so we would love to continue this conversation with Leslie in the future. For now, I'm going to jump back on, and guys, look, it's year end. Look at my screen. Look how much stuff I have on my screen. It's crazy. I need to do that for cleanup before we go on holiday, Di. So, you know, coming back to technology facilitated GBV or gender-based violence, you know, Di and I, when we started this program and we started doing these campaigns, the reason why we did it was we noticed that many nonprofits were accessing donated and heavily discounted software, and that was the easy part. But then they struggled with the implementation, the adoption, and then we started hearing about more and more children becoming cyberbullied at school because smartphones were allowed at school. And then we started hearing about more and more women being stalked online and the impact of that. And so what we did was we came together, we spoke about it in length, and we thought, how can we just start by just simply sharing information? That's our goal. How do we connect with nonprofits in our community and in our customer base? And how do we share tools and resources with them to be able to either go out into their communities with our resources and promote and advocate, or how do we then equip the nonprofits through training, through digital advocacy campaigns? And that is why we are so excited to be here with you all today. As mentioned before, we've had face-to-face tech clinics in the past, before COVID, where we've been able to also partner with NGOs that deal with trauma counseling. We work a lot with the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. And most importantly, myself and Di are the ones that sit with a lot of the social media platform safety centers, the safety teams, the actual women behind the scenes trying to keep the platform safe. And so we are really excited to be here with you all, because our program is continuing to grow and we're continuing to hosting tech clinics of this nature. The reason why I'm saying that is because I would so very much appreciate if all of you could let us know what you would most like to see from us with this program. If you think we should increase this kind of training and not just do tech clinics during 16 days, we can do that. But we do need some feedback from the landscape about that. Today's topic, which we're going to go in depth about, is how to prevent adult cyberbullying. We've got the top 10 tips for adults that are being harassed online. And the beauty about the way that this is structured from the Cyberbullying Safety Center, which is a global safety center, and we will share their links out with everybody after the session, is that you can modify and adapt whatever you're going to see on your screen and through the duration of this presentation, what you're going to hear. And you don't just have to align it with adults. You can also align it with your own children, teenagers, anybody in your youth programs, or your board members that are way older than the youth in the school at the moment. And the reason why I've set up the presentation like this, it's not my typical, as many of you would know, I've put a lot of information on each slide, and that is so that you can take this and you can present on this in your community as a value add to one of your programs, particularly if you're talking about cyberbullying. You can change some of the words. I'll give you the editable file. And I'll also give you the source where this comes from, because for us, the importance is we want to equip you with the tools so that you can go out and equip your beneficiaries. And so the social impact is far reaching. Cyberbullying is a hot topic, which is why we've chosen it specifically for this tech clinic for 16 days, not only because it affects more women and young girls, but also we are starting to see quite a rise in men becoming cyberbullied online by women. And that is something that we need to also talk about as a landscape when it comes to gender-based violence. And how does that fit in? How are we supporting men that maybe are being bullied online? And what do we need to do in the future to safeguard everybody, every member of society when it comes to cyberbullying? The first big thing to do is to stay up to date with your privacy settings. And similar to what Leslie has just shared with everybody, and that is you can use things like two-factor authentication. You can use third-party apps. The same applies to all of your online properties and your digital marketing or digital activity. It is so important that if you are creating a TikTok account, that you understand what privacy settings have you aligned with your profile. Sometimes it may take you 10 minutes to do by just cross-checking and actually clicking on all the menu items and all the features within your app. Sometimes it could take you about an hour. It just depends on whichever platform you're on. But the important thing is you must know how your platform is set up, what privacy settings are aligned with it, and what you might need to change to get more control as to who can see your content, who can comment on your content, who can share your content, and so on. Every time you get a notification on your phone to update an app, or maybe you see it through your cloud software, that is a reminder to you to go and check those privacy settings, because often what we find is people will update their privacy settings with us in consultation, and then they don't check it again when the app updates, and sometimes those privacy settings could change without you knowing. So it's very important to stay updated with your privacy settings. It's one additional layer of protection that you can put for yourself, or even for your children who have social media accounts of their own. Number 2 is to restrict access to your contact information. So it depends on which app you're going for, but I'm sure many of you would have seen a pop-up via LinkedIn, for example, or TikTok or WhatsApp, which says, do you want to let all your contacts know that you are on LinkedIn? Or Twitter might say to you, when you create an account for the first time and you log in via your phone or your tablet, do you want to let your address book know? Well, no, maybe you don't, because maybe there is somebody on your address book that might be stalking you, and you don't want them to know that you've created a Twitter account with a different name. So it's very, very important not to give that kind of access. But then most importantly, when you are using your social media, don't give people your email or your phone number. Now, I know for us as nonprofits, that's what we do. We put our banking details out there, we put our email, our telephone number. Perhaps a strategy going forward in 2022 is to create an email address specifically for your online. So for example, you might want to have a do not reply at phambano.org.za as the email that you send out. And I know that's a poor example, just thinking on the spot here. Also, if you've got something like a WhatsApp business account, which is linked to your PC, you've got all your antivirus and you've got two-factor authentication. It's just about working a bit smarter with regards to, are you giving your personal cell phone number? Do you have maybe a landline that you can give out? And also, which email address are you sharing out with the world? From a personal perspective, not many reasons to give out your phone number or your email in a public setting. So if we think of Facebook, let's say you're in a Facebook group like Lost and Found Pets, Somerset West, or you're on Marketplace, or back in the day, which I know people still use, but Gumtree. If you think about those kind of forums, do you really need to, in a public forum, put your email address and your telephone number for everybody to see? Or could you perhaps direct message it to the person that you're trying to get hold of? There are many, many ways to safeguard and to restrict access to your contact information. The first start is to know when to post it and how to post it. And if you really, really cannot help doing it, try and post something that is not linked, as in, don't use your Gmail if you're on an Android, your Gmail address that you use for all your devices to log in. Maybe use a work email or something else. Excuse me. Number 3 is to learn internet etiquette. And this is so critically important, because let's just look at the hot topic at the moment, which is the pandemic and mandatory vaccines and lockdowns and all of that. Certain trends happen online and certain topics become prevalent. And often we want to share our opinion. In fact, social media was created for all of us to have positive arguments with each other, if I can put it like that, to have robust debates. But you might just get onto a comment thread where you share your opinion in all caps, because that's just how you type. And somebody that you've never met before might be reading that and take offense and want to start sending you inbox messages with threats because of your opinion. Also, you might have a very sarcastic approach. Your tone that you have might come across to other people as Sam being rude with me. Let me spew hatred towards her and let me attack her for the way that she looks, purely because they have thought that I've spoken out of turn first. The internet is a really strange place. So learn your basics of internet etiquette just to keep yourself, grounded in what does it mean, or how could somebody perceive what I'm about to say? And do I really need to say it that way so that I can still safeguard who's seeing it, and maybe only share it with my close friends who really know who I am? Also, if you're on a public forum, I would encourage as much as possible, and I know it's difficult, sometimes just don't get involved in the comments and in the back and forth discourse, because it just it can sometimes go down a very nasty road where people get so inflamed, and that's actually a cyberbullying term. They will go and troll your account, or they'll try and gaslight you, or they'll try and dox you, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. Number 4 is don't send inappropriate pictures or videos. Now, Di, if you wouldn't mind, could you just post in the chat box for me the new name for what I refer to as revenge porn, if you don't mind. And the reason why I'm bringing that up from that perspective is many of you might have heard of these terms. Some nonprofit groups are calling for us to change the wording as a landscape. But this point number 4 directly relates to that. And I do encourage you, particularly if you have got young children that are on social media, please look up this particular type of cyberbullying. We are finding it increasing with the teenage lovers, because many of us as adults know that your first love as a teenager typically doesn't last that long. And often what can happen is two lovers can send each other inappropriate or nude pictures or videos. They break up, they become enemies, and then one of the other partner decides to share that out online, and that is so dangerous. So one topic to always consider and to talk about regularly with your children and even with yourself is just don't share those inappropriate pictures or videos. Having said that, if back in the day you maybe did that and you are struggling with something like that, please do private message myself and Di. Let us know which platform it's happening on. Let us help escalate that to the correct people to get that content off the platform, because it is your right to not have that content on the platform, and we're here to help you for free, to do that for free. It's important to teach our children and the youth as well that we don't want to put ourselves in positions of having to worry about things when it comes to cyberbullying and our online presence. So things like sending inappropriate pictures and videos is one thing, but you can elaborate and you can say to them also, so don't send inappropriate direct messages or threats or anything like that, because you never know what might come back in a couple of years' time and you know, might negatively impact your online persona or your online profile. Number 5 is to Google yourself. And this is something that we do regularly. It's something that I promote often, and I request that everybody do it. However, as somebody that does this, I do understand the fear of doing it and the overwhelm. It's not always easy to say enter when I've put my name in on Google, because it's like, oh, what am I going to see? And that feeling is okay. Just know that you are with people in a community that experiences that as well. But the best way to know what is being said about you or your nonprofit brand or your children or the school that your children goes to is to just Google yourself. And don't just stay on page 1. Go through all the pages and have a look at, are there any forums where my name's being used? Perhaps your Facebook account was hacked and somebody took your name and your profile picture. They've created a profile of you on a porn site. And by you doing a Google search, you can find that. You can see where your name and your profile picture is listed, and then you can report that to whichever platform your content is on. It is one of the best ways to stay on top of what's being said and how and through which forums. Again, this is something that I believe most children should be taught. For example, do it with your kids once a month. Do it together as a family activity, or if you're a guardian, or if you're a youth program, maybe try and develop some way that the youth can do this with you through one of your programs, and you can do it together, and you can help the youth if there is misinformation or disinformation about them on Google. Number 6, which is incredibly important, is do not accept friend requests from strangers. Okay, you wouldn't let a stranger in to your home that you don't know just because they sent you a friend request and said, hi, I'll be outside in 10 minutes. The same must apply to our social media. And most importantly, we have to let the youth know about this. For us as adults, I think that, you know, we can kind of use our discretion and we can go, why is this person sending me a friend request? And most importantly, I wanted to put this on for nonprofits, because sometimes we might think the person sending us a friend request is a potential donor. And in actual fact, it could be a fraudster. And so it's very important to cross-check Who are these people sending you friend requests? Why are they trying to follow you and befriend you? And which platform are they doing it on? So for example, if somebody sends you a friend request on Facebook and says, I'm the CEO of XYZ company and I want to donate 2 million to you, go and look for them on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is typically the place that they would do that. Or better yet, they would call you or send you an email because they would have done their research on your nonprofit. They should not be sending you something on Facebook where the activities of that platform and the social media site is not designed to do that. So there are a couple of ways that you can apply some strategic and analytical thinking to it, but it's very important, particularly with our youth. Please remind them about this on a regular, continual basis. Don't accept friend requests from strangers. And if you do get a lot of them, sit with an adult, sit with somebody trusted and go through it with them. Maybe there is somebody in there that you need to be friends with that's being genuine, and maybe there are others that are really not. There we go. Number 7 is to use site-based controls. Okay, so what you can do, and this also touches base with a lot of what Leslie was saying earlier on about Facebook, but it is available on many other platforms as well. And that is to change your settings so that the general public cannot find you when they search within the platform. So, excuse me, if you want to disable some of your privacy settings or enable them to the point where you don't want anybody to find you through a Facebook search, you can do that through your Facebook profile. And all you need to do is just look into it a little bit and change the settings. Number 8 is to keep your information protected. Now, this is critical, not just for us as social media marketers or fundraisers online, but also us as nonprofit representatives, often with youth-based programs, with gender-based violence programs, or just typically as NGOs in general. It's very important that we protect our beneficiary information, be it through our social media platforms or on any software that we're using, like Excel or Word to create M&E reports or so on. And often what will happen is we will have to go into, internet cafes, or we might use somebody else's device, or maybe we haven't done, as quick an update and we need to use our smartphone, whatever the case. You must note that if you are using somebody else's device, or if your device is not purely protected from an antivirus perspective, you have to pay attention to how you are protecting your information and your beneficiary information. Because the last thing that you want is to have a hacker or some sort of a virus come through your device, get access to your beneficiaries, and then go and target them through the information that you've provided, be it to try and apply for a loan because they have one of your beneficiary ID numbers or so on. I mean, the way that these hackers can use your beneficiary data and your information that we as nonprofits have is so frightening. And if they do get into your systems, it's so easy for them to do. So it's important to note that you mustn't only just keep your info protected, but you must keep your beneficiaries, your volunteers, your staff, and your board member information protected as well. Number 9 is that you must always be skeptical in online interactions. So even among people that you trust. So let's take myself and Di, for example. We trust each other explicitly when it comes to this, but Di doesn't know who I'm friends with. She might know a few of them, but she doesn't know what I do on my social media at 2 o'clock in the morning. She also doesn't know who has access to my devices when she's not around me. So as much as what her and I trust each other, there might be somebody in our combined network or in our separate network that maybe might not be a good fit for Di and her social media or her online activity. So it is very important that even though you have networks where you trust people, and from this perspective, I just use Di and I as an example, but think about maybe a potential or a donor that has donated to you once in the past. You've never spoken to that person again, but you're actually friends with them on Facebook. You don't ever see them, you don't really engage with their content, but you're just friends. You might trust that person, but do you really know that person? Do you really trust that person? Maybe that person has done something to his or her Facebook account that has gotten it hacked, and then that person has access to your information that you are sharing. It's quite a big mess. So you must always be skeptical in online interactions, especially if you're in a group, which is the huge thing at the moment. WhatsApp groups, geographically placed groups with causes, so lost and found pets, Simonstown, or electricity's going off in Muizenberg, whatever the case is. If you're joining these kind of groups with a whole bunch of strangers, do you really know who's in that group, and do you want to share with them your ID number, or click on a survey link from somebody that you've never met before, for example? You must understand that you can control the amount of information that you put out there for the general public to see, and 9 times out of 10, the general public are not wanting to be kind with your information. They're actually wanting to do something sinister with it. If you have that approach, you'll always be able to safeguard yourself and the rest of your community. And then lastly, guard against mean people. Now, this is easy to say, very difficult to do in real life, because often we have to be friends with people, or it feels like we have to be friends with people that we actually don't want to be friends with. We don't want to start online wars. We don't want to do, voice our change or our difference of opinions. But maybe we might want to just keep certain people on our social media platforms just because it's the right thing to do. And maybe they're really mean. Maybe they're trolls. Maybe they're always the ones that are enticing horrible kinds of mentally draining content, or they're always sharing harmful pieces of information. The beauty is that you can guard yourself against them. Sometimes you can turn off notifications for them so that you don't see their content. You can remove them completely from your list. On Twitter, you can mute them for, let's say, 30 days. You can do the same on Facebook, or on Facebook, you can put them onto a list whereby they are completely hidden from your profile, and it just looks like the two of you are friends, but actually they don't see what you write and you don't see what they write. Most importantly, you must remember that when you see content going viral on any social media platform and the comment section is going crazy, and it's generally around defamation topics, hate speech topics, for example, the vaccine topic, the lockdown topic, the ESCOM topic, anything surrounding a topic that is going to inflame people's opinions, religion, politics, just keep in the back of your mind that when you start participating in that, you are opening up yourself and your profile to the internet trolls, because people genuinely have too much time on their hands. And what they will do is they'll create little groups around a cause, and this is important for nonprofits. So let's say, for example, I'm not going to use animals because I've been saying that quite a bit. Okay, let's take pro-choice, pro-life. Okay, if you look at nonprofits on either side of that fence, you'll see that they have followers that don't agree with each other. And so sometimes you as a nonprofit, you might be sending information out there that is purely related to your cause, to your mission. There's nothing wrong with it. But in the comment section, your followers might try and go and get other people to stick up for their viewpoint and attack people from the other side of the argument. And that level of trolling and getting involved in it and sort of, digging deep into it can open you up to long-lasting cyberbullying. And by that, it could be, you might just voice your opinion in a comments thread to say, hey, everybody, just, calm down. No need to be like this. And all of a sudden, for 3 weeks, you have consistent daily messages of people saying that they are threatening you and they want to kill you. I mean, these things happen on a regular basis. So what do we need to do? What do we need to put in place? Quite simply, all you need to do is report and block the comment. Don't even engage. Don't feel the need to speak about it. Don't feel the need to say anything. You simply just need to, if you're on your mobile, depending on which platform you're on, you either hold onto the comment, it'll highlight it, and you report and you block. Or you might hold onto the comment, there might be 3 blocks, and you might say report and block. That's all you need to do, particularly if you are managing your social media for your nonprofit and you need to get rid of that content. Do not be afraid to delete the trolls and the harmful, hateful content that is out there, because somebody in your beneficiary community might just very naturally and very calmly say something on their comment thread, and then all of a sudden they have 1,000 trolls coming after them. The important thing here is don't feed the trolls. When you feel yourself getting emotive in online forums, with conversations, with news article headlines, with whatever it is, WhatsApp groups, rather take a step back. Di and I always say a cup of tea and a good sleep will solve the world's problems. If everybody just took a step back and they just, lowered their emotions, thought about what they wanted to say. And if you still want to say something, if you still want to get your point across there, just know that you must have your privacy settings set so that people can't click on your profile and send you a message or find out where your kids go to school or download your pictures, because people are really mean online. They're very, very mean. Now, Facebook has got a safety center. Every social media platform has a safety center, actually. And today we wanted to highlight Facebook because the first part of this session was about safeguarding yourself on Facebook. Also, we have partnered with Facebook to roll out digital skills training to nonprofits in South Africa. And what we'll be doing is hosting free training to help you learn how to set up your Facebook page for success, what to do in terms of how to change your settings. And we'll be doing it, through a step-by-step virtual process with you. And so we wanted to highlight something that is free and readily available, particularly for 16 days of activism. If you know that many of your beneficiaries are using Facebook, please do go onto their safety center. Not only is there a portal for women and how to address some of the online abuse that women experience or young girls, there is also a teens and a youth portal. So if you are an educator and you are wanting to host maybe in your after-school program or in your faith-based program, if you are wanting to share with your beneficiaries more information about how to navigate certain conversations as a teenager on Facebook or how to set your settings, everything is there and readily available for you free of charge to have a look at. We're also doing quite a big campaign on our social media about this, where we've detailed some of the important resources and download links. So I encourage you to please reach out to Diana if you'd like more information about it. Again, it's readily available for you. Even if you haven't started a 16 days of activism campaign and you might only want to focus on Facebook, the Safety Center has got tools, policies, and resources for you to download and to use. Lastly, before we break for a quick Q&A, and I let everybody go early because you should all know me by now, I set things a little bit longer so that you've got a bit of a break in between, because I know we're all zoomed out and Zoom fatigue. But I do encourage you to please reach out to myself and Di. A couple ways. First is our program is a hashtag. That's what we've named it, eSafetySouthernAfrica. If you need to find us on any social media platform, you can simply search that hashtag. You'll come across our resources and others in our direct community that use that hashtag. If you are on Facebook and you'd love to see our 16 Days of Activism campaign, please note that we have been running a digital campaign surrounding 16 Days of Activism and online safety since the 1st of November. We will end it on the 10th of December. So we have over 30 days of content that you can look at on our social media platforms for free. You can download the resources, you can engage with it, you can ask us questions, you can use it to spark a 16 Days of Activism digital campaign. There's still time. You can also find other service providers in Southern Africa. So if you are wanting to connect more with trauma-related organizations or parliamentary policy change organizations for 16 days, everything is on our social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And then, of course, you can email us on our email address specifically for this program, which is temba@phambano.org.za. And with that, I am going to ask Di to come join me, and let's see if we have any questions quickly. Yeah, 11:15, Susan. Yeah, you see, that's what we do. We've learned now to give everybody like an extra bit of time so that you can just take a break. It's better to book it for longer than to have you sitting with us and only have 2 minutes to go make your tea or coffee before your next one. Sorry, Di, did I interrupt you?
Yeah, so Sam, the only thing that people want to know is if we can share the presentations, both for Leslie and ours, which we said we would make available for everybody. And I think that was about all. No other questions have come in.
Brilliant.
Nope, that's it.
Just one quickly, Justin, Edu360, thank you for joining us. Lovely to see you here. Please do let us know if you're running any 16 days campaigns. I'm following a lot of what you and your team are doing. Would be keen to find out if you're doing anything like this and if we can help you. And then Frida's just come into the chat.
Just a question, yeah.
What do you do not to allow someone to see your new newsfeed on Facebook? So Frida, on your personal Facebook profile, you can go onto the 3 lines. If you're on your mobile phone or if you're on desktop, you can go to the right-hand side menu, a drop down, and you can go through your privacy settings, the safety center. You can access your friends list, and there are a couple of different ways that you can assign certain people onto a safeguarded friends list where they don't see your news or your newsfeed content. Or through the privacy checkup and through the safety center, you can make it so that if anybody's not friends with you and they are viewing your profile, they can't see anything from your newsfeed unless they are friends with you. Added to that, and it's the one that I use the most, it's the most beneficial for me, it might be for all of you, is that my profile is closed so that you can only send me a friend request if you are friends with somebody in a list of mine that I've created. So there's a couple of ways that you can do it. What we can do, Frida, is when we send out the event recap with the PDFs and all that stuff, I will add in a Facebook Safety Center tutorial from Facebook on how to do your privacy cleanup and to change all these settings, if that'll help. Yeah, Leslie uses the same as well. It's a phenomenal tool to use. And like I said, especially for us as NGOs, sometimes we'll get a lot of friend requests with people saying, you know, please donate to me, or I saw you on this forum, can you please partner? And sometimes we just want our social media to just be our personal social media. We just want to share pictures of our cats and our dogs. Maybe we want to share pictures of our kids and we only want it to be small and closed off. There are many ways that you can restrict. The important thing is just to know today that it's available. Doesn't mean you have to change it right away. We are here to help you with that. But just so that you know, we've just sort of given you that little bit of a thought process that it's there and it's available. So if there's nothing else, cool, Frida, we'll do that. I would like to please request to everybody that we'll get our email later on with the recap of this. Please reply to us and tell us, are you running any campaigns? Do you have any 16 days of activism events that you'd like us to join? Would you like us to speak at your school, at your church, anything like that? Myself and Di are so heavily committed to this program because we are seeing on a daily basis how many adults and the youth are so negatively impacted, you know, either by social media or by cyberbullying or by online stalking. We've partnered with the decision makers, so to say, and we often help a lot of the tech giants get into parliaments from a non-profit perspective. We do a lot of surveys. We help do a lot of advocacy. So we are here to help you. And we do not charge to do these kind of virtual introductions to our program. So please do reach out to us. Di, thank you very much for introducing Leslie to us. Leslie, thank you so much. I hope you feel better soon. And to everybody, enjoy the last few